Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a text that's both fascinating and a little bit shrouded in mystery, the Book of Enoch.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure.
We've got some excerpts from a YouTube video. Is the forbidden Book of Enoch the key to unlocking ancient mysteries? From the channel Deep Bible Stories. Should be interesting.
Definitely.
We'll be exploring what makes the book so intriguing, why it's considered forbidden by some, and what hidden truths it might reveal about angels, humanity, even maybe the end times. Get ready for some surprising connections to familiar biblical stories, fallen angels, prophecies, maybe even a few giants along the way.
Sounds like fun to me.
So first things first, what exactly asks this Book of Enoch?
Well, it's not actually a single book, but more like a collection of 5 distinct books that offer all kinds of insights into the spiritual realm, kind of like an ancient guidebook to the unseen world.
Okay, 5 books in one. Got it. But why is it considered forbidden? You can find it online, buy a copy on Amazon. It's not exactly hidden, right?
Yeah, forbidden might be a bit of a dramatic term. It's more like it was excluded from the official lineup of books that make up the Bible for most Western churches.
Ah, so like a director's cut that never made it to theaters.
Exactly. But here's the twist. The Ethiopian Orthodox Bible actually does include it as part of their canon. So for them, it's totally legit scripture.
Whoa, a whole branch of Christianity sees it as legit. Okay, so that definitely adds to the mystery. What was it about the Book of Enoch that made some people say, nope, not for us?
That's a question that's been debated for centuries. But let's dive into the first book, the Book of the Watchers, and maybe you can start to piece things together.
This is where things get interesting. Rebellious angels, forbidden romances, giant offspring. It's like an ancient soap opera.
It's definitely a page-turner. The Book of the Watchers introduces us to these angels called, well, the Watchers. They were sent by God to watch over humanity, but let's just say they got a little sidetracked.
More like, hey, those humans are kind of cute, kind of sidetracked.
You got it. They basically said, forget the mission, we're going rogue.
Yeah.
And started relationships with human women.
Wait, really? Like romantic relationships?
Yeah, and get this, from these unions came the Nephilim, a race of giants.
Hold on, giant offspring? That's straight out of Greek mythology.
Right. It makes you wonder about the nature of angels. Are they purely spiritual beings? Or can they, interact with the physical world in ways we don't fully understand?
Okay, so we've got rebellious angels, forbidden love, giant offspring running around. Yeah, I can see how this might have raised a few eyebrows back in the day.
Definitely. And it's not just the sensational stuff. There's some deeper themes here, things that connect to other parts of the Bible.
Okay, like what?
Well, think about the story of the Garden of Eden. The serpent tempting Eve with forbidden knowledge. It's kind of a similar theme, right? These watchers sharing secrets with humanity that were maybe meant to stay hidden.
Oh, I see the connection. Forbidden knowledge, that's never a good thing. What kind of knowledge are we talking about here?
Oh, things like warfare, sorcery, even astrology. It's like they gave humanity a crash course in all the things that could potentially lead them astray.
Wow, so not exactly promoting peace and harmony. And of course, God wasn't exactly thrilled about this whole situation, was he?
Nope, not at all. Time for some divine intervention. He sends 4 archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, to deal with this angelic rebellion. They bind the watchers and cast them into this abyss, a dark prison where they await judgment.
Whoa. Talk about consequences. It's interesting, this idea of fallen angels being in prison. It pops up in the New Testament too, right?
Absolutely. 2 Peter, Jude both have passages about angels who sinned being held in chains, waiting for judgment. It's a powerful reminder that rebelling against God has consequences, even for beings as powerful as angels.
And then there's the flood. We know that story from Genesis, but in the Book of Enoch, it takes on this whole new dimension. It's not just about punishing humanity. It's like this massive cosmic reset after the Nephilim messed everything up.
It's like hitting the reset button, right? Wiping the slate clean and allowing for a fresh start, just like in Genesis.
Okay, so we've got rebellious angels, forbidden knowledge, giant offspring, divine intervention, and a flood that cleanses the earth. And that's just the first book.
It is, and we're just getting started. Ready for book 2.
Bring it on! What's next on our Enochian adventure?
Well, next up is the Book of Parables, and things are about to get really prophetic.
Ooh, prophecies. All right, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
We're going to meet a mysterious figure called the Son of Man. He's central to the story of judgment, and, well, let's just say things get pretty intense.
The Son of Man, huh? Judgment, intense. Sounds like we're headed for some serious end times territory.
You're catching on quick. It's all about judgment, the separation of good from evil, this ultimate showdown between, well, good and evil.
Okay, so we're not talking about your everyday kind of judgment here. This is the big leagues, right? Cosmic court.
You got it. And it's not just about individual people being judged. The Book of Parables also talks about the judgment of those fallen angels we were talking about earlier. They've got to answer for their actions, just like everyone else.
So nobody gets off scot-free. Everybody faces the music eventually. Where does this judgment take place?
Picture this, the heavenly courts.
Heavenly courts. Okay, now that sounds intimidating.
It's like a cosmic courtroom.
Yeah.
No escaping the ultimate judge, thrones, books being opened, the whole 9 yards.
That's wild, this idea of a divine court where all our deeds are judged. We see that in other parts of the Bible too, right?
Absolutely. The book of Daniel, for example. It's this ancient idea that speaks to this deep desire for justice, for good to prevail and evil to be held accountable.
I can definitely see that. So it's all doom and gloom, no happy ending in sight.
Not at all. The Book of Parables also describes this vision of a restored paradise, a new heaven and a new earth, a place where the righteous will dwell in peace and joy.
Ugh, a glimmer of hope. And who's ruling over this new creation? Is it this Son of Man we keep hearing about?
You guessed it. This mysterious figure is the one who ushers in this new era. And it's fascinating to think about how this idea of the Son of Man might have influenced later understandings of Jesus.
Oh, yeah, that's a really interesting connection. Okay, so we've gone from rebellious angels in judgment to a new creation. Where does the Book of Enoch take us next?
Buckle up. In Book 3, the astronomical book, we're going on a cosmic journey.
A cosmic journey? Sign me up. I'm always down for some stargazing. What kind of astronomical insights are we talking about?
Enoch gets this behind-the-scenes tour of the cosmos. It's mind-blowing. It's not just about stars and planets, though. It's about divine order, spiritual rhythms, the importance of aligning ourselves with those rhythms. You ever notice that some people feel totally thrown off when daylight savings time hits?
Oh, yeah, my internal clock goes haywire.
Well, maybe it's not just about clocks. Enoch learns about the solar calendar, how it's supposed to mark sacred times, keeping us in sync with divine time.
So it's like we're not just messing with clocks, but with deeper spiritual rhythms.
Exactly. And guess what? The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, they still follow a solar calendar. It's like a living link between this ancient text and a modern religious practice.
That's so cool. It makes you wonder if there's more to time than we realize. And speaking of things we might not realize, Enoch also learns that the sun, moon, and stars, they're not just randomly moving around. They're overseen by angels.
Yep, angelic beings assigned to each star, making sure they follow their divinely appointed paths.
Wait, angels are in charge of the stars, so it's like a giant cosmic ballet, and the angels are the choreographers.
It's amazing, right? And it ties into this idea from the book of Job that even the stars have to obey certain laws.
Yeah.
There's order and purpose woven into the very fabric of the universe.
But what happens when that order gets messed up, if things get out of whack,
That's when things get a little spooky. Enoch is warned that cosmic disorder is a sign that something's wrong, spiritually speaking. And guess what he links it to? The actions of those rebellious angels.
Oh, wow. So their rebellion had cosmic consequences.
Exactly. It's like their sin created this ripple effect that spread throughout creation. Makes you think twice about the choices we make, huh?
Definitely. If even the stars can be affected by our actions, that's pretty powerful stuff. Okay, so where do we go from here? What's next on our cosmic tour?
Well, after this journey through the stars, we're diving into the world of dreams. But these aren't your average dreams. We're talking animals, cryptic prophecies, and a whole lot of symbolism.
Talking animals, dream visions. Sounds like we're entering a whole new dimension. I'm ready for it.
Buckle up, because things are about to get really wild in Book 4.
Okay, so we've explored the cosmos with Enoch. We've learned about these rebellious angels, divine judgment, even gotten a glimpse of this new creation. Now we're diving into dreamland. What's up with the Book of Dream Visions?
Get ready for some serious symbolism. Think of it like an animal apocalypse. It's full of these vivid images of animals, clashing and stuff, representing the conflicts and power struggles that are going on in the world.
Animals clashing, huh? So like a cosmic zoo battle. I'm intrigued, but also a little scared.
It's all symbolic, of course.
Yeah.
For instance, sheep, they represent Israel, And these predatory beasts, they're oppressors.
Ah, so it's like a visual way of understanding history and spiritual truths. Kind of like those political cartoons where they use animals to represent different countries, you know?
Exactly. And it really gets you thinking about the different forces at play in the world, the seen and the unseen.
So what kind of dreams does Enoch actually have? Like, does he see the future?
That's the wild part. He's shown this panoramic view of history, like from way back in the time of the patriarchs, all the way to a future time when Israel is restored. A messianic kingdom is established. It's like he's fast-forwarding through time, seeing empires rise and fall, all this stuff.
Whoa, so it's like he's watching a highlight reel of history, but with a cosmic twist.
And amidst all the chaos, a messianic figure emerges. He's often depicted as a white bull. This figure is going to bring peace and justice to the world, establish this kingdom where, harmony reigns.
A white bull. That's a pretty powerful image. Makes me think of strength, purity, maybe even sacrifice.
It's definitely a loaded image. It connects back to some of those Old Testament prophecies,
Yeah.
The one from Isaiah where it's like the wolf shall dwell with the lamb and all that. It's this beautiful vision of a world that's healed from violence and division.
It's amazing how these ancient prophecies are echoed in the Book of Enoch.
Totally. But it's not all sunshine and roses. Before that peace comes, there's this period of tribulation, intense struggle and upheaval.
Ah, so the classic, things get worse before they get better.
Pretty much. And this idea of a tribulation period, it shows up in the New Testament too.
So it's like a test, a cosmic test of faith or something.
You could say that. And of course, the Book of Dream Visions leads up to the final judgment, separating the righteous from the wicked. It's like this epic scene, very similar to what we see in Revelation. Books are open, deeds are weighed. It's the ultimate separation of those who followed God and those who, didn't.
So it's not just like a personal judgment, but more of a collective one too, like nations, empires, the whole sweep of history.
Exactly. It really emphasizes this idea that history has a purpose, and ultimately we are all accountable.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. So we've journeyed through the cosmos, witnessed the clash of good and evil throughout history, and arrived at the final judgment. What's left to explore in Book 5?
Well, the tone shifts a bit in the Epistle of Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
It gets more direct, almost like a warning letter to those who have chosen to, follow a path of wickedness.
Oh, so it's like a cosmic wake-up call.
Exactly. If the other books were more, symbolic and allegorical, this one is straight to the point. It's a call to repent and a reminder that God's judgment is coming. There will be consequences for those who haven't changed their ways.
There's a real sense of urgency then in this last book.
Definitely. God's justice is not just some abstract idea. It's very real.
And according to the Book of Enoch, the consequences are pretty terrifying.
It doesn't hold back when describing the abyss. It's a sobering reminder that the choices we make have an impact that lasts, forever.
But even with all the judgment and consequences, there's also this glimmer of hope, right? For those who do follow God.
For sure. There's this contrasting vision of what the afterlife looks like for those who've chosen to be righteous. It's peaceful, joyful, and they get to be in the presence of God for eternity.
So it's not just about avoiding punishment. It's about choosing a path that leads to fulfillment.
Right. Aligning ourselves with what's good and true. It's about finding our true home.
What about angels? I'm assuming they play a part in all this.
They're not just, messengers or observers. They're active participants in carrying out God's will, especially when it comes to judgment. They're depicted as these agents of justice.
Interesting. So they're both warriors and guardians.
It's a reminder that the spiritual realm is not passive. There are very real forces at work, both good and bad.
Okay, so to wrap up our exploration of the 5 books of Enoch, we've seen angelic rebellion, divine judgment, the promise of a Messiah, and this ultimate separation of the righteous and the wicked.
It's remarkable how these themes connect to so much of what we see in the Bible, too. It's like these ideas have been around for a long time.
It makes you wonder about the influence of the Book of Enoch, even though it was excluded from the Western canon.
Definitely. And it challenges us to consider how these ancient texts, even the ones that seem strange or unfamiliar, can still speak to us today.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The 5 books of Enoch, its history, its themes, and all that.
It's definitely a book that continues to captivate people, even after all these years.
But the big question is this ancient text relevant to our modern world? What can we learn from the Book of Enoch today, as we deal with the complexities of the 21st century?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's the one we're going to tackle head on when we come back for the final part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned. All right, welcome back.
Ready to tackle the big question?
You bet. Does this ancient text, the Book of Enoch, have anything to say to us in the 21st century? I mean, it's a fascinating book, but is it relevant to our lives today?
It's a good question. And I think for a lot of people, it comes down to this theme of judgment, That's a pretty universal concept.
Right. And the Book of Enoch doesn't shy away from it. It talks about nations being judged, empires rising and falling.
It suggests that history isn't just random, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's this moral arc to it. Eventually, good triumphs, evil is held accountable.
Almost like the universe is keeping score.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that it's not just humans being judged. Those fallen angels, they have to answer for their actions too.
Right. It's not just about us. There's this whole cosmic dimension to it.
Which brings us to another key theme, that struggle between good and evil.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting some serious Star Wars vibes here.
Haha, exactly. It's this epic battle, and we're all caught up in it.
So we're not just dealing with our everyday problems, we're players in this cosmic drama.
Right. And the Book of Enoch gives us this peek behind the curtain. It shows us those unseen forces that could be, influencing our world.
It's like suddenly realizing there's another level to this video game we call life.
Totally. It challenges us to consider that maybe there's more to reality than what we can see and touch.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The end times. I mean, the Book of Enoch is full of these prophecies about tribulation and upheaval, the arrival of a Messiah.
And it can get a little unsettling, right? Especially when some of those prophecies seem to line up with what we're seeing in the world today.
Yeah. Wars, natural disasters, lawlessness. It makes you wonder if we're living in the times that Enoch was talking about.
Now, I'm not saying the world's going to end tomorrow or anything like that, but it does make you think, right, about where we're headed as a species.
It's a good reminder to pay attention, to be mindful of our choices.
Exactly. And even if we don't take those prophecies literally, the message is still powerful. It's a call to awareness, to choose good over evil.
And amidst all the doom and gloom, there's also this glimmer of hope, right? That vision of a new creation, a time of peace and justice.
Absolutely. That hope is rooted in the promise of a Messiah who will, set things right, defeat evil.
So even though it's controversial, the Book of Enoch still has a lot to say to us today.
It pushes us to think about those big questions. The meaning of life, good versus evil, our place in the universe.
Yeah, and even if we don't agree with everything in it, it can still spark some really interesting conversations.
For sure. It's all about expanding our perspectives, looking at things in new ways.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the Book of Enoch. Thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.
We hope you learned something new, maybe even challenged a few of your assumptions along the way.
And who knows, maybe it even inspired you to do a little exploring of your own.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to check out our other episodes. We've got a whole library of deep dives covering all sorts of fascinating topics.
So until next time, keep those minds open and keep diving deep.
See you next time.